Look, I think cold calling is changing a lot, and I will defer to you guys because you do it every day. But let me start with asking a question. I got $100. The longer you do this, you're finding that it's taking more and more calls and more creativity and more work to get people first to pick up the phone and secondly to get a valid meeting. Is that a fair statement?
We have, as we've grown, we've invested in more tools to make it easier. So it might not be, we've made our lives easier with software.
Okay. You've made it easier, but even using the I'd be curious over time, using the software and all the investments you've made, if you're not having to continually double down, triple down, work harder and harder and harder to get at least stay consistent as far as the conversions, the number of people that pick up the phone, et cetera. So I'd be interested to see that over time, but I'm convinced that that's what's happening, right? So especially as a dude who started selling in the 90s, and I could cold call all day long and talk to 50, 60 people in a day. Like, people picked up the damn phone, just starters right there. They picked up the phone. So if I got you to pick up the phone, I was going to get you to have a meeting with me, right? Now they don't have to pick up the phone. So I think that's the biggest problem with that. Outside of that, the biggest tip I have with people, if they do pick up the phone, is you just have to, however your little script is, you have to acknowledge that you're interrupting them. You have to. You have to say, look, I know I'm interrupting you, right? And you have to give them value for that interruption to allow them to stay with you. So you've got to come up with an approach, a method, a set of words, a script, whatever you want to call it, that once you've acknowledged you're interrupting them, that gives them value. Say, listen, I'm going to give you X for 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 20 seconds. I don't care, 15 minutes if that's what you're asking for in the cold call. But make sure they understand what they're getting for that time. So outside of that, I don't think there's more you can do. It's not rocket science. It's just hard.
Well, yeah. I think that's a good point to, because obviously, and it's probably best hearing, we were on one end. The reason that we got you on our podcast is I called you, Keenan, and so from someone that I don't know how many cold calls you received, but was there anything about that cold call that you could kind of diagnose and say that stood out and that is the bit that people should be using in their cold calls?
No, I think, I'd be perfectly frank, I don't even remember the first call. I think, did I say something to you like, did you send me an email on LinkedIn?
No, didn't send you an email.
I cold called you and I
said
I'm super busy, call me in an X period of time. Is that what I did?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not sure I'm not sure I'm a good benchmark because I don't know why I picked up the phone that day. You just got lucky. I have no idea why you picked up the phone that day, to be perfectly frank. And at the time I was absolutely super busy. So I was like, look, I don't have time. Like and then you pushed it out and you stayed on top of me. The other part is, as far as value is concerned, I do these podcasts randomly. I don't have a strategy. People reach out to me all the time. Like, can you do it? Can you do it? The people who are the most pushy, I guess, and those who can at least demonstrate some audience, I'll do because they have value to me. People say, oh, I saw you in this podcast. I saw you on this podcast. So, I don't know. You just got lucky, I think, because there's a whole bunch of people's podcasts I'm not doing right now.
Yeah, well, I'll take luck. You were very charming on the phone. I actually didn't have to use that many tips. I guess there's probably not much that you can do to someone that's been selling since the 90s. You were very charming, and you said, call me back, and I called you back, and you said, let's do it, baby. I
personally think the biggest, this is anecdotal, but I think the greatest asset for cold callers right now is tenacity. I see too many people that just do a two or three sequence, cadence or whatever. And so I see all these emails come across and after 2 or 3, they're gone. Right. And if they kept pounding the shit out of me, eventually I'm going to say, look, I'm not interested. Or I'm like, I haven't responded because I haven't got around to it, but there's actually something I'd be willing to talk about, but it's on the bottom of my priority list. But if you keep pounding me, you're going to get me to respond. I don't think enough people have the tenacity to just keep pounding. Respectfully keep pounding. Respectfully keep pounding. Mm-hmm. Just keep showing up in my inbox.
When do you think a cadence goes too far then? What's tipping over the edge?
I don't think it does.
Oh.
Yeah. Unless the customer says beat it. The minute the customer says, look, I'm not interested, stop. Don't pull the shit. Well, can I just? No, fuck off. Like I said, no. You got what I wanted. And, look, the whole world would be a whole better place if people who got cold called or got email cold called just responded and said, hey, I appreciate it, I'm not interested. And the salesperson shut up. But what's happening is we're in this cycle.
Yeah.
The people try to be courteous, then the salespeople think it's an opening, so they keep driving and digging in, and then the buyer's like, fuck it, I'm not even going to respond to salespeople anymore because they don't respect the no. right? So respect the no, and that'll make everybody's life easier. You call 1,000 people, and rather than getting only, 50 that actually respond to you, maybe all 1,000 respond to you, and maybe 900 of them say no thank you, but at least 100 have given you a chance, as opposed to 50 or 25 responding to saying no, and the rest don't doing anything, and now you're fucking spinning your wheels for hours. Just, right? Just everybody be authentic and legit. Buyers say no or yes, sellers leave it alone.